Did you work out this morning? What you do? What was your morning routine? What you do this
Definitely
morning?
worked out. I did work out. I work out every morning. I did 6 a.m. today. I usually try to do like 5:30 a.m. and then before I
Hmm.
drop off the kids and all this stuff like that. Yeah.
Slacker. You did 6 as opposed to 5:30.
I,
Slacker.
I
What
know.
kind of workout was it?
I do a lot of calisthenics. So a lot of pull-ups, a lot of intervals. I do a lot of that. Yeah, and a lot of hit. I do that too as well. Yep.
Really? Now, how does one decide that's the workout that they want to do?
I've been on this workout journey for a while, and I've had different trainers, and one of them is Eric Smalls. Shout out to Confused Muscle. Ironically, I'm wearing his shirt, which is hilarious.
Okay.
But he's really into calisthenics, and that was something that worked very well with my body in doing interval training, and then also, working on my core. That's really what works for me, and the diet as well. But yeah.
All right. So welcome Kel Mitchell to Naked, y'all. And that's why he's been able to say so sexy because he working out and stuff, y'all. You can't see it. Like he's aging backwards. And I was like, what's the routine? Put me on. Let me know what it is. Where's the vampire juice? How are you doing it? Actor and comedian. You guys know him from so many different things. Keenan and Kel, Good Burger. We can get on to many of those things. But I wanna I want to talk to you about something that I recently was able to have another comedian on, Jay Farrow,
Yeah.
and he and I talked about. I thought it was the lifestyle, but he accurately corrected me, and I wanted to take a moment to talk about some of the comedians that have been dying in the community.
Mhm.
Um, Recently, David Arnold passed away. Did you know David Arnold?
I did. I did. I don't think there's a comedian that doesn't know David, or knew David. Great guy. Every time I saw him, he trained so many comedians, within stand up. I remember I was doing stand up and working on it and, doing it for a few years, which was super awesome. And David actually was at one of the shows that I did. I think it was at Haha's Cafe. But yeah, I was opening up for Damon Wayans. Yeah, and that was really really cool. And I got to chop it up with David afterwards, and he gave me like some advice and things like that, which was super super awesome. And then we also stayed in contact because he had his Nickelodeon show as well, and so he hit me up as well while he was doing that. So yeah, just amazing, amazing guy. I loved his last special, which was amazing. and,
Mhm.
but yeah, yeah.
When you heard the news, what'd you think? Like he's
Uh,
54 years old. For those at home who aren't familiar with David Arnold, take a look at his work. He was well regarded, as mentioned,
mhm,
and he had peaks and then he had stable moments. But I felt like he was on the rise because you talk about he had two Netflix specials. He was touring.
mhm,
I think that he was really truly he was working on another show. He was doing a lot. He's a workaholic.
mhm.
When you heard the news, what did you think?
I was definitely shocked. I was in New York. I saw it. It came across my feed. I was shocked because he looked in great health. You know what I mean? And yeah, like you said, I mean, he was really about to even do even more amazing things. He had recently put up a video that was very. It was a beautiful moment because he was talking about a role that he was given. And in a new film that was coming out for Christmas. And he was just in his trailer and just talking about how amazing this moment was, and within his career, he's finally doing it and going on the path he was going on. So, and then like literally 3 weeks later to hear what happened. So, definitely playing for his family. That God comforts them during this time because I know how close he was to them.
Yeah, he talks about his
Yeah.
kids, his family a lot. A lot of his jokes are based on that. When
Hmm.
you um when you were growing up, because you began acting, I think, and this might be wrong, but it says around 1994. You're about 15 years old. It was a comedy sketch, all that, and
Yeah.
which it was a series that ran until about 1999. When did you get this acting bug that ultimately showed that you were a comedic actor that could do other things?
Wow. Yeah. Well, I grew up on the south side of Chicago. So,
Hmm.
growing up out there, I was in the church, but then also there were other ways I could have went as far as like I had friends that were on the up and up, and then I had friends that were going in the wrong direction. So my parents were like, okay, he's getting to that age where we need to make sure he's into a lot of stuff that's positive hobbies. My dad is a retired psychologist, and my mom is a retired teacher. And I was a bit of a class clown, and they took education very seriously. And so they were like, "Well, we got to get something that he's doing as a hobby." And they tried everything. I was in every hobby, every community thing, but what really stuck was acting. They put me in this summer course at ETA Creative Arts Foundation on the south side of Chicago, and I got in there, and it changed my life. I really was like, oh, this is what I need to be doing. You know what I mean? All the stuff that I was doing in class, I was able to do on stage within there, and that was super awesome for me. And then I went from that and putting on a showcase there to actually working in theater. And so after I became a theater kid, so after school I would go work and do these theater shows, and then that turned into me doing matinees, and then actual shows at night, and I became like a first job for me of my other many other jobs that my parents had me doing too. But yeah, that was just like super awesome to be doing that. I started working in downtown Chicago, Victory Gardens Theater. To all my Chicago listeners that's listening, Goodman Theater. I was all over, and my actual first job was like I modeled, so that was first. I modeled for
Oh,
Captain.
okay, Zoolander. Tell me about it. Go ahead. Tell me about it,
Yeah,
Zoolander. What was you doing?
well, I modeled for the back of a Crunchberry box. So I was on the
Oh,
back of the box. I had my high top fade. I was with some other kids, and
yeah,
people were
yeah,
chasing me around. It's the
yeah.
kid on the Crunchberry box. So for me, that was like
That's
the big moment.
funny.
Uh, but other than that, it was really like a hobby. It wasn't like I'm gonna get on television from doing this. But then the all that audition came along, and when that came along, we're talking about years later, because now I'm in high school,
Right.
and that audition came along, and I had finals, and everything, but I was still acting on the side, and went and auditioned and got the part, for all that. Yeah.
I love how you, and I do believe everyone. It's really interesting. This whole theater, I'm picking up on the word a lot. I've been doing a lot of interviews, and people in front of the camera when they talk about what they started to do, whether they were in front of the camera or behind the scenes, when they started to get the bug of this should be it. It was always some local theater that they started to deal with. Jay said the same thing. Like I was theater. I love it. I have friends
Yeah.
who have delved into that, not necessarily became actors or famous, but theater is something. What does theater do for
Oof.
a natural performer?
I'll tell you this. Shout out to Runako Jahi. That was my
I know him.
yeah, Runako? Oh man.
I don't. I do not.
Oh, you
I
don't?
was just like, I, know, I do not. But because
You
you
are
like shout
funny.
out to, and I'm like, cool. I love him too. I don't. But I'm
Well, yeah,
glad
no,
he,
that was
I
my
like that he poured into you.
yes. That was my acting teacher. Definitely amazing. Put on a bunch of plays out there. But what it is about it is that because I started out doing a lot of drama at first. And so for me, what it is that really becoming the character, there's no take one, take two like it is in television. When you do
Mm,
theater, you're on that stage. So if you
mm.
mess up, you're going to have to improv. You and the actor got to figure it out to keep the show going. The show must go on, and so that makes you a beast. And so when I got on all that in these television shows, I always look at it like it's show night. You know what I mean? Like it is no take two. Like every take, I'm gonna give you 100% of this character. I'm gonna embody this character. Why is this character doing what it's doing? And I put that into all my characters that I play. I really do like a real analysis of why are they doing the things they're doing, why are they talking the way they talk, what is their personality, all the way down to their walk. You know what I mean? Because in theater you see the entire body. Television is just different shots or whatever. But
Interesting.
yeah, but that's
What
the
happens when you? What happens when you're in theater and you pay attention to the entire body? What other perspective does that give you? What other texture or dimension are you able to add as an actor?
Okay, so for instance, like when with Ed, because I'm sure people could identify me with Good Burger and stuff like that. So when
Sure.
I did all that show, I had many different characters that I played on there, but I'll do Ed as an example. So they just wrote it as a airhead, but kind of smart, kind of dude that messes up at a drive-through, and he says, "Welcome to Good Burger, home of the Good Burger." And so I really was like, okay, I got to give him something. And in my audition, they knew that I did this like Valley dude in my audition in Chicago. I was like, oh, dude, yeah. And so they wanted that voice in there. But then I said, well, we got to go deeper. You know what I mean? Like, how does he talk? How does he walk with this talk?
Yeah. Yeah.
What's his movements? What does he do? And I literally practiced that like in a mirror over and over and over again. I was like, he needs his hair. What does that look like? I saw this Milli Vanilli wig that was in the hair and makeup room. The brandy I wanted to down with. You know what I mean? And I put that on, and then I walked through the hallways doing his walk, and everything. And I really set with the character before I came to stage. And then when they saw it in our, dress rehearsals, like just cracked up laughing. And I owe a lot of that to my theater background, because even in theater, I had to do my own makeup. I had to do a lot of different things, and it
Yeah.
was really, really cool
Yeah.
to be able to have that at such a young age, and then
Yeah.
put it within my acting abilities on screen.
In my
Yeah.
world, the equivalent would be theater would be what in my world would be my very first TV market I worked in, where I
Mhm.
was a one man band and I carried the camera and the tripod and I did all the things. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I totally understand what you're saying. Um, I I think it's interesting because, and I was gonna wait to get to this. Look,
Mhm.
1997 Good Burger. I don't, if you haven't seen it, see it. I don't know anybody who has not seen it. If you haven't seen it, get your life together because it's absolutely amazing. But and it's a classic. It's a cult classic. It's like I interviewed Gina Prince Bythewood, and I'm all like, let's talk about love and basketball. Like she's like, I've had a gazillion movies since then, but there are just some films that sit with you, and Good Burger is one of them. And so
Yeah.
there were these
Appreciate
whispers that you kind of, I heard Keenan say perhaps, maybe, kind of, I need the numbers right. You kind of was like, I'm always open. So tell me, where are we at? Good Burger 2, just break some news right here on Naked.
that. Uh
I'm
oh.
writing it
Uh
down.
oh.
I'm
You
writing
try to
it
you
down.
try to get it out of me. Oh, well, here's the deal. I'll say this. Good Burger. Yeah, we're open all the time. We're ready. I can't give you too much
Okay.
information.
So let me talk. Listen, we got to get it done soon because y'all fully grown. Y'all big and
Yeah.
grown now. So we got to get it done soon. I want the storyline to be what it's like as adults.
Yes. Yeah. We're gonna have some. We're gonna have some fun with
Can
it.
that be? Guys, the context clues, we're going to have some fun with it. Okay, I'm going to leave it there because we can't say anything. I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to leave it there. Um, we have the Emmys. Emmys was surprisingly, right?
Mhm.
Surprisingly diverse this year. Talk to me
Yes.
about the surprise. Was it really a surprise?
We've been putting in that work. I mean, like if you look at, I mean, come on, a lot of amazing shows, amazing actors and actresses that have been putting in work over, this year. That's been amazing, and then also, Cheryl Lee Ralph. I mean, that was
She
amazing.
was we had her
That's
on the podcast like 3 weeks ago. She was like, "I don't know if I'm gonna win, but we shall see." And she gave me so much life. I was like, "She has to win." Oh, I was so
yes,
proud. I was so happy for her. But I'm referring to the surprise, the reunion, if you
yeah.
will. That really wasn't a surprise because you have to rehearse it. But talk to me about how that was. Did it feel like old times? Was it a little awkward? Was the relationship
Oh, Oh, it's
with
awesome.
you?
I mean, me and Keenan, we talk all the time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we talk all the time. So that wasn't like we haven't seen each other all the time. So we
You're like,
talk
hey,
all
what
the
up?
time. That's my homie. And so he hit me up because I was in Portland at the moment because I was promoting my book. So I was going from New York and then to Portland, and they called me up and was like, "Yo, you want to do let's do the Emmys? We got a great idea. Keenan has this great idea." And I was just like, I heard it. I'm like, oh yeah, let's do it. Like, let's make it happen. So I flew, back home, to make that happen. And yeah, it went great. It was such a beautiful moment, and to hear the audience, So excited, to see us together. We always love doing that. I mean, we hang out all the time, but it's always good to share that with our fans as well, so they can have those moments with us. So it's
Because
awesome.
it
Yeah.
really does mean a lot to the fans. It's nostalgia. It reminds you of a time. You're like, oh my god, I
Hmm.
miss. It's something familiar. People, one thing the recipe is, at least for me, I want it to feel familiar, like the good old days, whatever that means, right? Whatever that looks like or means for people. And I
Yeah.
think it's also interesting because as I'm learning more about your life, and yet you've written two books, I believe, two,
Two
right?
books. Yep. Yep.
And we'll get to the latest one that's most recently out and available for everybody wherever you can get books. All right, can you buy books anymore besides Amazon? I know everyone does it digitally.
Yeah, you can still
You
Barnes and
can go,
Noble,
you can
Target.
go and buy a book, guys. Okay,
Yeah.
so your life trajectory, you still act, you're still a comedian, but what I find most interesting is that you talked early on about growing up in the church, and you're a pastor of a church right now.
Yeah, I am a the youth pastor of Spirit Food Christian Center. So I have my teens, and I'm working there. Super super awesome. That's been something I've been doing for years. I think just in
Really?
2019, that's when the press found out about it. But everyone that's close to me,
Oh,
that
yo, so
knows me.
you've been doing this for a while. This is not new
Oh yeah.
to it's new to us, but it's not new to you. You've been doing this since
It,
when? For how long?
long time. I got to Spirit Food Christian Center, I want to say in 2010, like way back, like 2000, 2010. So we're talking way back. And I worked in helps ministry. I've always been a motivational speaker, speaking to, juvie homes, speaking to high schoolers all over, telling my life story, my ups and downs, and the things that I went through in life. That's been something I've been doing for years, and so all my close friends, really know. Then I started. I took the call of preaching, and doing that, but then I got my license in 2019. So that's what happened, and I just put it on Instagram, and then
Uh,
everybody thought like, oh, he's going to be doing good burger wettings and all this nonsense. Like, nah, this is for real. Like, God is everything in my life. You know what I mean? Like, this is for real. So
Can I ask
yeah.
you a question? You're
Uh-huh.
right, because when you announce it, it's like it's a real thing. You're like, no, I've been doing it forever. What was that calling? How did you know that's what you wanted to do? More specifically with the youth, because you know how they be. I have a mentorship program, a foundation,
Yeah.
and these little girls be getting on my nerves. I love y'all because I know y'all listening. But
Hmm.
then how did you know? How did you know that was your calling? Like that's what you wanted to do?
Yeah, well, because with my mom being a teacher, my dad being a psychologist, and me navigating through life, adulting with through entertainment, but then also the things that I went through, even Chicago, before I even got on television, and seeing the things that happen with youth, that through violence, through depression, through suicide, all these different things, and things that I experienced too in my life. And then I also would put on programs. Me and my wife, we had a program out here in Carson, California, called the Back House Party. And we had the kids come and dance. This is back when the jerk movement was popping. And so they would come and we put on a live dance show for the youth. And we started with, I want to say we started with like 20 kids, but then that grew to like 400 kids we had up in there. And it was pretty crazy every time we did it. But we would pray with them. We still stay in contact with a lot of them now. They're grown-ups now. You know what I mean? But I always had a heart for the youth, and helping them and seeing them grow, because it helped me too as well, like within community theater and doing these showcases. And I also traveled with a youth group as well called Moi, which meant Messages Which Are Hype, in Chicago. And we would go and tell nonviolent stories through art, which was just super, super amazing. And I lost a few friends along the way, within Chicago, and also within the entertainment business as well. So it's a lot of mental health issues. There's a lot of things that are going on. And for me, I would be doing people, my fans, a disservice if I didn't tell them how I got through, which was my faith in God, which me having a relationship with Christ, because I grew up in the church. So I
Mm-hmm.
knew, and I know Christ, I know God, but then there's a difference between knowing and having a relationship, meaning that you're in everything that I do. Like before I start
Mhm.
my day, like you asked me working out. Well, before that, it was spending time in worship, in prayer
Mhm.
and covering my wife and my kids and, covering myself because God knows my future. I don't. I know what's going to come up ahead, but I want to know that I'm going to respond in joy and not in an emotional way. And so that's what's so important to me. So when I decided to take the call, because people have spoken over my life where they would go, "Hey, you should preach," and I'm like, "Nah." I was like, "God gonna have to come down. I gotta see him. He right in front of me and be like, you
He gonna have
gonna
to be
preach."
like, "So, listen, hi, not I'm on
Yeah.
here. He's got at the door. We need you to preach." Okay, got it. Yeah, okay.
Man, because that just wasn't me. That wasn't my lifestyle. So I'm like, nah, I can't see that. And but I mean, really, like when I decided to go, okay, God, you're controlling everything in my ups and downs. You have been here. I've seen him do miraculous things in my life through my prayers and through me having faith in God and things that have been breakthroughs in my life. And when it was one time, I never forget that I was really preaching. I mean, not preaching. I was in worship, really hard praying, and he spoke to me so hard. He spoke to me like I could hear his voice. He was
Crystal
like, "Yeah, I
clear.
want you
Yeah,
to preach. I want you to preach, but I also want you to stay in the entertainment business." And I'm like, "Well, how am I gonna do that?" I was like, and I have no one to talk to that had a show currently at this moment when this was happening that had a show and was preaching at the same time. And I was like, how am I gonna do that? Who can I talk to?
when was this,
And
and
I went to my wife.
what year was this, and
Huh?
what show were you? What year was this, and what show were you doing?
This was around, I want to say, 2017, like around
Mhm,
2017, 2018, and I was on a show called Game Shakers on
mhm,
Nickelodeon. And
mhm.
so within this show, and I was just like, well, how am I going to do this? You know what I mean? And I would still preach. I would, talk to the kids, and I would do all these things while I was still working. And I was seeing that I'm not like it was easy because it wasn't easy. You know what I mean? It's still
Mhm,
not. You know what I mean? But God
mhm.
gives me the endurance and the comfort through the Holy Spirit to be able to make it happen.
Yeah,
Which is awesome. But
yeah,
He had been grooming me for this for so many years. And that's what I'm very transparent with my teens. I tell them, hey, I've been there. I
yeah,
know what you're going through. Don't go through that door. Don't make that choice. Life is a lot about choices. Even with being a youth pastor, they be looking at you sometimes like, and you don't know if you're getting through to them. But then,
yeah,
like, well, because you speak to teens, and it's like, but then
yeah,
3 months later, they come to you and they tell you a breakthrough that happened in their life or
yeah.
something that they got through because of something that you told them. And it's like, it's such a beautiful moment because it's kind of like, oh, you
You
were
know,
listening.
the
you
hard
know?
the hard thing, here's the hard thing. The hard thing is, especially with
Mm-hmm.
all the different messages, the hard thing is when you know you have a calling, or even if you know that you have faith or you believe in Jesus, and you present and you're like, I'm a Christian, I'm a Jesus believer, and you find yourself living in both worlds, which we do, you always can lead by example. But I do know that people will try you and say, well, if you are a Christian, you shouldn't be doing this. You'll have that from
Mm-hmm.
the church, or you'll have that from people who are not in the church, or you'll just have people in general saying that. And sometimes the message can be blurred.
Mm-hmm.
um, and I'm speaking from my experience, the message can be blurred because sometimes the messenger isn't presenting how people think you should present. When you said it was very clear to you that God wanted you to do both, that he spoke to
Yeah.
you and said you should do both, the both
Yeah.
part was what? Why do you think it was necessary for you not to necessarily leave acting, stay acting, but also preach?
Because I had to realize too where everybody's journey is different. I used to do a lot of comparison as far as like, well, this preacher is doing this and this is going this way. And the Lord spoke to me so clearly, like, this is your journey. This is your ministry. This is how I want you to minister to people. And this is the reason why you went the route that you went. So then that way they could see my heart through you. Here's what's really deep about it. When I decided to say, okay, I've seen so much within the entertainment business behind the scenes of the mental health, of the depression, of the things that people are going through. Are these people going to come into church on Sunday? Some of them, but others probably not. And the thing about it is that now when I'm on these sets and I'm in these meetings, I'm also bringing God with me, and I'm seeing it through His eyes. And what's been beautiful, it's not like I bust in on set and be like, "Y'all better love Jesus." It's
Correct,
like when they see
correct.
it through my actions, right? This
Yeah.
talent, this talent,
Yeah.
this creativity, everything that was given to me
God-given,
was
yeah.
God given. And then what happens is that through my actions on set, you'll have people in the parking lot. This literally happens all the time in the parking lot that'll be like, "Hey, yo, hey man, I'm going through a little something. I heard you was going through something. Can you pray for me?" We praying. I'm praying over the
Aw.
set. I'm praying over the set before I go. Friends from the 90s that we work together now, they'll go, "Something different about you, bro. What's going on? You said very different." Okay, I'll tell you. This is what's going on. And you had others that were in the entertainment business. One brother, he hit me up. He was like, "Yo, Kel, how are you so vocal? Because aren't you afraid that you work in
That's where I was
entertainment, they
going.
not,
That's where I was
yeah,
going.
they,
That was my next question.
yeah,
I
they're
was like,
not gonna let you work within
do
it."
you yeah,
And
do you find that you, may have lost out on opportunities because they don't want you to be on set praying for people?
you know what's deep? I've gotten, it's elevated. It's even more work. It's even more doors that have been opened
Yeah.
because of me being obedient and consistent to Christ, which is very, very deep. You know what I mean? And I can tell that to anybody. And if anybody has followed my career, they can see that is what's happening right now. And it's so beautiful because it's me saying, and I don't care. Because the thing about it is that I know if as long as I'm following him and I'm doing what he tells me to do, all of these things are going to open up. All these doors are going to open up. And then also too with through producing and writing my own things. And then I tell people this story all the time. I was at a huge, huge meeting with a very big agency, right? So you got all these agents and producers, and we're all sitting there, and they want to work with me because I do other projects as well. And I'm sitting there, and within this, they go, "We see that you talk about your faith a lot, online." So I'm thinking it's gonna go left, But then they were like, "Tell us more about that.
Oh,
Tell us about
wow.
your
Wow, 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 wow.
testimony." And it was like a pursuit of happiness moment
Wow,
almost,
wow, wow,
because I
wow.
was literally in tears, and I'm talking with them and telling them about it, and it was just like a beautiful moment. And so I want to let people know, because there's so many people that be like, "Oh, it's just satanic in entertainment. It's this, that, other," and it's like there's some believers in there too, a lot of
Mm,
believers, and there's people that believe in God, that love God, and it's all ministry. And when you look at it like that, when you tell these stories, or these beautiful stories of people having triumph, getting through something, that's what I look at in any project that I do. I look at it in that way too. Like, what was the outcome? What was the breakthrough within the character? What
mhm,
happens? And you feel that within your heart when you hear these stories. So for me, it's part of my journey. It might not be everybody's ministry journey, but for me, it's been beautiful. And when kids come and they go, "Man, I seen you on Good Burger," so that's why I came to the church. That might have been the only reason, and that does
yeah,
happen. Then they
yeah.
sit down and they hear the love of God. They hear the grace, and they feel that in their heart. Then they join the church and give their life to Christ. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, that's
You
a
know what
yeah,
I mean? At that
and
point, yeah,
that's a beautiful thing. And even in the
yeah,
aspect, and I'm not diminishing being, when you people give their life to Christ, but the
mhm,
aspect of being able to help someone, knowing that that's what you've been called to do, you feel. I mean, I don't know about you, but I think you're like, there's my purpose, there's my legacy. I feel better that I'm able to help somebody. I'm able to lift someone up, and I'm not so focused on me. And it feels very rewarding in a world that wants us to be selfish, in a world that says that it should be all about us. And look, I ain't perfect. I get caught up in the selfishness of it all.
facts.
But
Yeah.
it's absolutely beautiful to hear you be so bold about it, and to hear also that you are being rewarded, obviously, because God's rewarding you for being obedient. But you're in this big meeting and they're like, "So tell me more about your faith." You talk about it. So I'm
Hmm.
curious. Do you think that there are roles that you won't do because of your faith?
I touched on that a little bit earlier, but yeah, I take every role into consideration within my thought process and within my journey of what I'm doing. So literally, like when I get sent something, and I'll look at the character, I'll read the entire script, and for me, it's about the story. In the beginning, when I was just, it was certain roles that I would pass up because I just was like, no, I can't cuss, I can't do this, I can't do that. But now I look more at the character because I'm going, well, what do they learn at the end of this? As the audience is watching this, what is the outcome? And so when I started looking at it in that way, it opened up a lot more characters for me and a lot more character work that I was doing in stories that I put out as well, which I think is amazing. You know what I mean? In a
Yeah.
good thing to do, a good thing to do.
Yeah.
So, but I think with every actor, we all, of course, you want to,
I
you
think
don't
you,
want
of
to.
course, yes, every actor was like, "Nah, I ain't doing that." Like, there are things you just in your career period, actor,
Yeah,
not actor, I'm not doing that, or I am doing that, or that's what I
or I
want.
am doing that, and you
Yeah,
got to get there. You can't take,
yeah.
like you want to take everything, but you should really think about the longevity of this thing. Yeah,
By the way, you have not lied because you do have to
yeah,
get there. Well, here's
yeah.
what's interesting. People talk about teenage actors all the time. There was this
Mhm.
rap that, especially during a certain time, you grow up on set, you're by yourself, you have these crazy hours, school is really secondary. You hear all of these stories that suggest it isn't an environment that can help you be a positive, productive adult. And then I see so many stories now, yourself
Mhm.
included, where you're like, no, it can happen. It does happen. And even if you did have a troubled, post teenage life, you can still rebound. I see it in actors like the Jason Bateman, who always talks about how he was raised on set and he had a drug addiction, and now he's found his life, or Robert. Look at I could just name a bunch of different actors, right?
Yeah.
Um, and now I look at what you've been able to do and the
Mhm.
world that you've been able to create and the people that you've been able to be around and still be very talented. What would be the next chapter for you in terms of acting? What would
Mhm.
do you want to do? Is there a movie role that you want to do? Is there something that you work on that you feel like this is it for me? This is my role. So my
Yeah.
my 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 North Star is always Oprah, right? I say that. That's my but
Oh.
like if I was an actor, I would want to play Oprah, but
Yeah.
I want to live her life. I want to be in the garden picking flowers and on my private jet carrying avocados where I go. Because Oprah was like,
Hey.
I just take avocados where I go. Everywhere I go, I just take avocados, guys, from my garden. And I go to the restaurant. I'm like, Oprah, because you can. I wish I would show up to the local restaurant with my avocados and be like, here you go, here you go. Can you make these for me for my garden? So that's my North Star. I
Yeah.
one the day when I can bring my avocados to the restaurant. What is it for you?
You know what? For me, I have gotten to a point where I'm enjoying God doing what he does within
Mm,
my career. And so that
mhm.
means I'm literally open to whatever career path that comes up within the character that I'm going to play, because I'm going to take it to him and be like, yo, is this it? Is pray about it and just go for it. Because even with me being an author, now as well was all orchestrated by God. You know what I mean? And producing, directing. When it was a time where it was like I wasn't getting roles, and then I said, an actor told me, "Hey, well, you know what? They ain't giving you the roles, you make them." All right. And so then I started writing. And who knew
Yeah.
that then years later, this writing process of me doing these independent things turned into me now being able to write and be a writer and all these different things. So I'm just really enjoying the journey. I was talking to my wife about that. And every time I finish a project, we're like, man, I'm excited about the next project or what the next project is going to be, the next witty idea that we get. And then staying ready. That's very important to me. Like staying ready, like, continuously acting, continuously working out, and getting your body ready for whatever opportunity that's good.
Calisthenics. Shout
Yeah,
out
because
to something
it's
something muscle. Who was the guy?
confused muscle, right?
Confused muscle. Go ahead.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
this mental, physical, and spiritual for me within everything that I do. And that's why I
For
wrote my book,
everybody.
Blessed Mode. Yeah, that's why I wrote my book, Blessed Mode, because I'm enjoying the journey, and that's what faith is. It's really just saying I'll take the leap of faith for whatever it may be, and it can be just these wonderful things that happen, even within my career and within my life. You know what I
So
mean?
people
Yeah.
can get blessed mode. That's a memoir, right? It's about your
Yeah,
life.
no, Blessed Mode is a devotional. Now, people told me, Kel, you've been through a lot. You should do a memoir. And I was like, no, I want to do a devotional because a
Okay.
devotional book, a lot of people are busy. You know what I mean?
Correct.
And you know, when you read a devotional, it's different each day. And you could
Yeah.
just tap in and you could read for like 3 minutes and it helps. And so for me,
Get a little food and get back into the day.
and get back into the day. And it's been very awesome. I did a book trailer with it, which is super cool. I also did a music video. We put out a song with it. And I did that with the book. I really just really wanted, you know, people to understand that they're beautifully and wonderfully made by God and to go after their day and be motivated for their day and choosing gratitude and joy within everything. And these are the things that I had to do to get out of Kel reacting emotionally. And that's why I called it bless mode, because when I react in Kel mode, it might be emotional. It might be like, this person did this though. But if I react in what God wants, it's always going to be a loving reaction.
Mhm.
So that's what, you know, really what it was with that. And then Prank Day came along too as well, which is my new book, which I'm super excited about yeah, as well.
That's
Yeah.
available everywhere, guys, where they sell books. Y'all know where they get the books at, Amazon and stuff, and then Barnes& and
Where they
Noble,
get the books.
where they get the books and stuff, and if you like me, you like novel, but okay. So tell me what Prank Day is. I mean, I know, but tell us what Prank Day is.
Okay, so Prank Day is a novel for tweens, you know, 8 to 12. But a lot of people have been reading it that's older than that. They've been reading it now. But it's about a kid that does April Fool pranks. And when he does the pranks on April Fool's Day, the next day on April 2nd, the pranks come true. So now you got to run a refrigerator running through the neighborhood. You got flying spiders. You got clowns coming out of toilets. And he has to figure out why this is happening. And one of his pranks is going to change his life forever if he doesn't figure this out. And so it's definitely a awesome story.
Yeah.
From that idea, it just took it on its
By
own
the way, that's
journey.
a movie.
Yeah, you know what? Thank you for
That's
saying
a
that. Here it is
movie.
right here. Thank you for
That's
saying
a
that. Oh man.
movie. I'm all like, no, as
Yeah,
you're saying it, I can totally visualize that the next day as a great movie that would be super popular with the tweens, if not the adults like myself. Okay, go on. I'm
man.
sorry.
I
That's a
appreciate
movie.
that. I'll tell you this because you're in entertainment. You appreciate this. Like I tell a lot of like writers and authors, and this book, Prank Day, originally was I wrote it as a film. Right, I originally wrote it as a film. It was a film script, and I had it at a network. The network went through a merging process, and they fired the movie. You know, all the people that was head of the movie and film division, and they went to other places and everybody was like, "Oh no!" But then the network held on to my my film. So my attorney went in and did what he had to do, got it back for me, and then I was like, "Well, I'm gonna take it. I could take it somewhere else," and I just was kind of sitting on it. And then when I had put out Bless Mode with HarperCollins, they said, "Hey, well, Tommy Nelson wants to do something with you. Do you have like a kids, kid book or something like that?" And so I sent them a whole bunch of ideas, other ideas, and then I put that in there too. I was like, well, it's a movie, but let's see. I sent them the script, said, y'all read the script. They loved it. And we turned it into a novel, which was just super, super, awesome. So it's always like, this is what I'm saying about with God and that faith and just knowing that it might not happen the way you want it, but it's going to happen.
It's gonna
And
happen. It
so,
may not be at
yeah,
the timing you want it or when you want it, but it will
yeah,
happen. Yeah, I appreciate that
yeah.
because that's real. What's meant for you cannot pass you by. I see it all the time with so
Facts.
many people, and they tell these great stories. I appreciate you even first of all being such a breath of fresh air and being bold in your faith. I think anybody who's bold in what they believe in, really truly bold from a place that is not selfish, self-centered,
Mm.
is rare in this industry and rare in the world in which we live in today. So I think that's amazing. I really do. So
Mm.
again, folks, go out there and grab it. I have something else to ask before I let you go. You told me a
Okay.
really funny story about Good Burger. This is my personal ask. I'm asking for me. If y'all, I don't care if y'all like this question or not. I need you to tell me your favorite line, yours specifically, not so much Keenan's, but Cal's, your favorite line from Good Burger. What was the iconic moment that you still feel like
from the
everybody is
from
cult
from
classic
the
moment?
TV. Yeah, from the TV show or the movie.
The movie.
Okay, from the movie. One of them where Kurt, the evil guy in the movie, and he was just like, "Hey Ed, you better watch your butt." And Ed goes, dude, what? And he actually looks, and he like, he's
Yeah.
like, and he's like making circles, and he's like, no one can do that. It's too.
Yeah. That
So,
dude knows. You can't
that
watch your
was
butt.
funny.
How do I watch my butt, guys? Like, no, seriously, that's a logical question. I don't think anything's wrong with that. That is a smart, logical, well thought out question. No one can do that. No, I mean, maybe now with a little surgery you can, but I mean, it's next to impossible. It's next to impossible, Kel Mitchell. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for joining me on Naked. Is there anything else our folks should be checking out for you?
Definitely check out Deliciousness. That's my show on MTV that I do
Yeah.
with Tiffany Thiessen, Angela Kinsley, Tim Chadaransu. It's a spinoff of Ridiculousness. So check that out as well. We're in our third season. Get Prank Day available, like you said, everywhere books are sold. Awesome, awesome book, awesome read. Y'all check it out. Super excited about that. Yeah, and then I got a Christmas movie. I'm gonna have to come back and see you to
Yeah,
talk about
I
that.
would like it.
'Cause
I would like it.
yeah, yeah. So
I
we
would
just
love
finished that.
it. I would
Yeah.
love it. Your spirit is great, and you're encouraging people, even today, myself included.